Hi, everybody. It is a little after 3, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's call to order, and the roll call. I'm looking down the road. I see Grant is here. Commissioner Prosis is here. Marina's here. Byron's here. Councilman Member Arms is here. And Mike Bobick appears to be trying to...
I just joined. Good afternoon.
Hi, Mike.
From Helena, Montana.
From Helena,
I
Montana.
made it.
Have we heard from Mike Hammer? He is... Okay, well, we won't give him a few minutes. But again, I'm delighted to see the mayor is here. Hi, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Sabrina. How are you? And there's Mike. So the first order of business is to approve today's agenda. Has everybody gotten a chance to look at today's agenda? I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Somebody?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. And approval of the February 9 minutes of the Marina Advisory Commission meeting minutes. I hope everyone's gotten an opportunity to look at that. There were a couple of things on here. Now I have to make sure I get to my notes. Well, I think the first one was about whether we're going to change the meeting time from 3 to 5. And that, I did notice that is in our bylaws and rules and procedures. So I guess that we can assume that we're going to move our meeting time from 3 to 5. Is that correct?
If you guys make a motion, second, and it goes through council and is approved, then yes, the
Okay.
meeting times will be
'Cause
changed.
We can get to that when we get to the bylaws and
Correct.
rules and procedures. Does anybody have any questions at all about the minutes from the 9 February meeting? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Seconded?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, very good. That was really easy. Today, public comment, I don't see any members of the public, but we did have one electronic submission that is in the record. It doesn't have anything really to do with us. It has to deal with a wrestling club. So I don't think we have any action whatsoever to take on that. So we'll move on. Okay, let's move on to our presentation and report items. The first one is roles and expectations, and I'm assuming that's why the mayor and Ms. Combs are here. So over to the mayor.
All right. Well, thank you again for allowing us to drop into your meeting. As I had promised earlier in the year, the purpose, or I promised that I would be attending all of the boards and commissions and presenting on roles and expectations, just to make sure that we were being transparent with the public as well with media and other folks about what roles and expectations were, how we arrive at things, how we do things. And so we're getting a very wide overview of this from the MRSC website. And so I'll just bear with me, and if you have questions, you can ask throughout, or we can save them for the end, and I'll address them then. But the first being that we are a strong mayor city. It's a mayor-council form of government where policy and administration are separated. The mayor is elected at large to serve as the city's chief executive officer and has administrative authority, including the power to veto. We bring this up because a lot of folks will say, well, how come it happens this way, or why are things done this way? Other places it's done this way. And we want to point this out because this is our form of government for the city of Oak Harbor, and this is how we operate. And for instance, the city of Anacortes may operate differently, or the town of Cootville, or town of Langley. So it just depends on what form of government that they have adapted for their town or city. Council is legislative. The city council serves as a separate elected legislative body. All legislative and policy-making powers are vested in the city council. So they are the ones, obviously, that legislate everything. We bring things for action to council, then they take a vote and they either legislate them and enact them, or they say, no, they don't like that, go back to the drawing board, change things up, or reconsider and bring it back a different way. So we've been really good about working through a lot of these things at workshops and doing a lot of the discussion and the work in the workshop level. Whereas, things from your commission and your groups are brought to workshops from your ex officio, being Barbara Arms, who is a council member. And then she communicates things as it relates to the marina. As you all well know, we've had a lot of conversation and discussion around marina issues over the last year and a half or 2 years since I've been the mayor. It was one of our most grossly neglected assets at the city. So I'm proud for the fact that we as an administration have put a lot of concentrated effort in revamping things and doing things. I know it doesn't feel like it's as quickly as we would like it to happen sometimes, but we are moving at a pretty rapid pace. If you understood how we are pushing things along and trying to make things happen as quick as we can. Unfortunately, with government, we can't just turn a key and it happens tomorrow. I know we'd like that. So moving on, ex officio role, council member assigned to advisory board. Like I had stated, that would be your council member, Barbara Arms. She provides communication between city council and advisory board or commission. She shares insight to advisory board or commission about council process or priorities. She shares a lot of the things that are going on as well at the marina. She's a strong advocate. I will tell you that you're very fortunate to have Councilmember Arms. She's probably one of the, I think, probably the most involved council member of all council members on council in all activities. She doesn't just participate in marina activities, but she's a part of Parks and Recreation. She's a part of all different facets of the city and supporting things. And I'm very grateful for her and her service to us and her dedication to the city. So thank you, Barbara, again. All right, advisory boards and commissions, advise legislative bodies, the city council on a wide range of policy issues, kind of like we had talked about. So you bring things forward that are then taken into consideration for the city. Some are designated by statute for a specific purpose, such as planning, salary, and civil service commission. Others are authorized by statute. Local governing bodies can decide if they need to create boards or commissions. Membership may also be determined by statute. You want to elaborate on that at all?
So as you all have heard, we typically bring forward your bylaws for the code and talk about any changes that either we've been directed by council to make, updates, like interviews, when we added that to the process, or you recently talked about changing your time.
Yeah.
So we would take that as a recommendation, we would move that into making the change in the bylaw and the code, and then we would take that forward to council for approval, as Elise did a great job of describing. So those are some examples of how that works. And then sometimes rules come down from other entities that we have to incorporate, and so that may occur as well.
So now we're going to move into roles. Decision-making input by providing input, studying issues, plans, policies, making planning processes more inclusive, facilitating communication between elected officials and the community. Most of the things you guys work on or discuss here at your commission level are things that the staff have already worked on as a team. Elise being our harbor master, and I'm drawing a blank. Is it Henry? Charlie. I want to call him Henry. Sorry.
That's because that's my last name.
Thank you. That's what it was. I knew it was something. So Charlie, who we're very fortunate to have as well, they work through things at the marina level with you all, probably on an individual level too out there, as well as with the staff at the marina and the different patrons of the marina. And then those things are then vetted up through the administration and then eventually worked into either some type of ordinance or initiative or something that comes before council in a workshop once it's gone through your process. And that way it's already gone through the staff level, the commission level, and then now it's also being vetted out at the council level at a workshop. And then hopefully when it comes to council, it shouldn't be that much of a talking point anymore. It should just be a voting process, a formality that we're going through. We are getting better at that. That's one thing that I can say that we've worked very hard on as an administration to be more efficient in how we're working through these meetings, so we're not here until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, because there's no point. And I mean, we should be doing that work at the workshop level, not at the city council meetings. Because they're all still public meetings. You guys can still watch all of them. You can still even come in and sit and be a part of them if you want. So next is governing. Oak Harbor Municipal Code is the governing authority as well as your bylaws for your committee. Those are reviewed annually and updated at council direction. And you also have policies. So those are the three governing pieces. Those are the most important things to myself as the mayor or CEO, as well as the administration, when we're looking for guidance to make sure that we're doing things that are within the guidelines of how we should be operating as a city. So those are the things that I'm always gauging to make sure that we're operating by. City staff, again, they provide the oversight. They're the liaison to receive and facilitate information, feedback, comments, requests, funding, etc. I have said this a million times since I've been elected, and I will say it a million times more before I leave office. They are my greatest joy every single day. I get to take a lot of credit for things as mayor, but I don't do any of the work. They do all of the work. And whether it's this staff here in the executive office, or the staff at the Marina, or the staff at our wastewater treatment plant, or our public works department, every one of the people at this city are working hard for this city, and they deserve a lot of credit. And I am super proud of them every single day, and it's a pleasure to come to work and work beside such incredible professionals every single day. So we are very fortunate, and I hope you all realize that too, and take the time to get to know the different people that are working for you at the city. It's amazing to see the group of people that we have here. So, all right, public records is another part of something you should all be familiar with and understand. We have a public records officer at the city. They are the person that's contacted for records requests, including meeting minutes, videos, notes, emails, text messages, phone calls, etc. So if you're taking those and you have those types of things, remember those are all subject to public records requests. You are responsible to maintain those and provide those. You go through this when you go through your training, which is on the next slide, and that's the Open Public Meetings Act. When you go through that training, they kind of explain that to you, but I just like to reiterate that here. One of the things that we're seeing at the city level, the county's seeing it, but public records is becoming a huge administrative strain to government. We have a lot of frivolous requests where they ask for tens of thousands of documents and then they never pick them up, even though we've gone to all the work to create them. We're currently working as an administration with all Washington cities to launch an entire statewide campaign with other cities so that we can drive legislature to be able to have some teeth to bite back for people that do this, so that it's not just incurring costs to tax-paying citizens. It takes a lot of work to do that, but we are in the infancy stage of that, and that is something that we're looking at, and we are trying to be as proactive as we can and be not just another city in the state, but we're trying to be a driving force in the state. And I'm proud to say that, with David, who just walked in, and the entire administration, we've already passed, bills at the state level with the governor signing in. AWC looks to our city as one of the leading cities in the entire state right now for the things that we're doing and how we're driving things and how we're working things. So that feels really good to us as well. So with that, I will kind of just open it up for questions or comments at this time. Don't be afraid, I don't bite, I promise.
Any questions from anyone on the commission? Go ahead, Brian. Yes.
Yeah, I've got one. I know this body is supposed to be advisory to the city council, but I don't know that we have any formal way of communicating our decisions or our ideas to the council on a regular basis. It seems as though, we can communicate through a lease, I guess, but that's about the only avenue we have. And if we come up with, a problem that we think the city council needs to know about, it would be nice to have about the only way that I can think of is we go to a city council meeting and in the public comment period, we get 3 minutes to talk about it.
So you can absolutely do that, but what I would also recommend that you do is the person that's sitting right there to your left would be to make her aware of what that topic is and what you would like discussed. Because I do call upon them at every single city council meeting and ask them for a report out on their boards and commissions and what are the things that are going on. What are the things that you're talking about? What are potential issues that you guys are experiencing? What are some things that you're feeling are roadblocks to getting to where you need to be? So those are all things that we do have discussions about, or I do ask the question. So I'm happy to afford time during the council meetings. I think I also do that during the workshops too, do I
Yeah.
not? Okay, so I try to do it also at workshops because actually that's where the work should be getting done, is at the workshop level. I try to keep our city council meetings just to business that's on the agenda and keep those pretty proficient and just moving along quickly. It doesn't mean that there's not room for those to happen there as well, but I always encourage all of the commissioners or the liaisons from council that are on the different commissions to report out at that time. And sometimes I will just actually call on them and ask them specific questions too, if there are things that are on my mind, so. Yeah.
The other option that you have too, sorry, Councilmember Arms, is that a lot of times when we're working on an item and it's been presented here, we may ask for your recommendation.
Yes.
So that is something that council will take into consideration, and it's usually added to the agenda bill item when they're looking at it, so they know what the recommendation of this body was for them to consider as part of that discussion. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Yes, Councilmember Arms.
And if you're looking for me, you can usually find me Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 9 o'clock down at the Fingerlings. Now, I won't be there tomorrow, but I'm usually down with the fish on those 3 days. So if you want to meet me at 9 o'clock, I'm usually there.
Yeah, and then you guys have your monthly meetings, but I mean, usually this is where I would assume that she's probably taking a list of things that you guys talk about, and if there are some hot pressing topics or items that need to be brought to the attention of the rest of council, that would be when she would bring them, like for instance, we have a workshop tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I will be calling on all of the different boards that have already met and just say, what have you discussed since our last meeting? What's new? What's needed? Where are we? How are things going? Is there anything that we need to be doing differently? That kind of thing. So,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Is there any other questions for the mayor or for Ms. Combs?
So the one thing that I wanted to point out that I didn't say, and I'm sorry, I was remiss in missing this piece, but when we talked about the roles, what I wanted to also highlight in there is I very much look at each one of you as a part of my administration. All of these folks up here are a part of my administration, and I look at you all the same way. So you being successful, you being actively involved and engaged and in helping me, keeping your eyes and ears open and being involved in the processes, that's what makes us successful. That's what makes us a community and drives everything forward. So you're very much a part of that. You were all picked or approved by myself, and I look to you all. So I appreciate you all. I recognize that this is not something that you have to do, you're volunteering to do. I recognize the pay is not well, but I appreciate you all, and the satisfaction comes in the form of that we're creating a better community for all of us to live in, though. So, yeah.
Anything else for the mayor while he's here? Well, thank you,
Do
Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Wait just a second. Do you mind to touch on subcommittees?
Oh, yeah.
That would be great, because we used to have a community engagement and a project subcommittee for this commission.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page about it.
Okay. Are you saying that you don't have those subcommittees anymore?
They were put on pause due to the direction I was told. If we move forward, how should we move forward with that, I guess is what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Do we move forward with them or without them?
Okay. So, yeah. So part of, I'll just do like I did this morning. I'll address the elephant in the room. We made a leadership change with Parks and Recreation. We felt like we needed a better sense of a direction coming from the administration with the harbor master and all of the employees at the marina and staff and pushing things forward. Communication for me is key. Communication works up and down, and communication isn't just speaking, it's also listening and making sure that we're hearing one another. So we're making some changes there. I don't necessarily know that the subcommittees are still going to be required or needed. I'm going to probably sit down and have a conversation with you about that, Elise. You, myself, and Sabrina are going to have a conversation about that. Because now that David's in charge of that area, it could be David too. I mean, it doesn't have to be Sabrina. It could be me, you, and David. And from the reason it's David is because from a financial aspect, he has a handle on the finances as well as do I. But I don't need to be sitting right on top of Elise. I think that's less productive for Elise, so that way she can go to David instead of me. But what I'm saying is we can have a conversation about that, and then we can have more clear direction. Again, that should be direction, though, that's coming from the staff for you all. But I also want your feedback on that, too, and to see how productive you've all felt that was and how we can best support you. Whatever is working best for the marina and working best for the tenants of the marina, that's what we want to do. So I don't have enough of a grasp on that right now to make that call. So.
I will just point out that I think, I speak for all of us, I think the subcommittees worked well for this group, because we were able to get a handle on some short-term projects and see them through to fruition, and then have another group looking at longer-range strategic things. And it really did work well, and we didn't have to, we could get down and roll up our sleeves and really get dirty into certain things and then think on a more macro level.
So one thing I would caution that I brought up this morning with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission too is that when having those subcommittees, we need to make sure that we're adhering to our bylaws, our rules, our public record requirements, because the community is interested in what is happening in those smaller meetings. Even though it seems like it's not this body meeting as a whole, there are conversations, discussions, and items that are brought forward. So we need to make sure that we have those documents and information to present if it comes up, so that when somebody comes to this meeting and says, well, we had a subcommittee meeting, we worked through a strategy, we came up with a plan, somebody is likely to say, can I see that document? How did you get there? And so if you say, oh, we didn't take notes, we didn't, or this certain group of people met, this quorum was met, we need to make sure that we're just checking those boxes. So that is something that I know Elise is aware of, that we always are checking and making sure of.
So that would be the piece where I'd want to just have a conversation to make sure we're dotting the i's, crossing the t's there, because I'm not that intimately familiar with the level at that level of how things were done. So don't necessarily know that I need to be either. But I would have a conversation before I just made a decision about it, is what I'm saying. So, but I would also trust you and your judgment if you're telling me that those are beneficial. Again, I would just want to make sure, like Sabrina's saying, that we're doing what we need to do to have access to the information made available to the public. Because in this very litigious society that we live in today, everything becomes legal. And I'm always looking to protect the city legally from these types of things. That's my number one goal every single day. So, yeah.
Okay, anything? Mike, did you have anything remotely for the mayor or Ms. Combs?
Mayor Mike Bobick, I'm one of the newest members on the board, and my background's Army, but strategically looking forward, taskers, how they transmit from you down to us, and what areas would you like us to look into? And maybe you've already provided that information, maybe Ms. Arms already has that, but looking out to the future, are there any specific things you want us to look at? I know I've attended several meetings before I was board member, I've listened to the harbor or the downtown waterfront revitalization plan. And, I noticed that there was maybe a little disconnect between what's going on at the marina and what's going on with the revitalization plan. But long term, what are you looking for from us besides feedback and work on special projects? Is there any objectives that you would like us to look at? And obviously, you don't have to answer me now. But is there some things you want us to work on in particular going forward in the next year or two in terms of the marina? And then, for example, the Port Authority is discussion has been raised several times, and I've listened to several different briefings on that. Is that an area that you want to help in, or is that something that's being handled by somebody else? Just trying to think long-term and looking out on what we can do to help you, the community, in terms of the marina being a better place to visit, viability, et cetera.
Yeah, there's.
Over.
Yeah, no, that's great, and there's a lot to unpack there. So I'll start with some of the beginning stuff. There are a lot of things that we're trying to do initially with the park, Catalina Park, and just some upgrades in that area, as well as bathrooms and other things, where we're wanting to make some initial improvements immediately, and then see some instant dramatic change to draw people down to the area. I think that's one of our number one focuses. And then on top of that, our other number 1A focus is to continue moving the improvements forward and the repairs forward. We've already begun, Elise, I'm looking to you, we've already begun the permitting process for the dredging and all that, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
we are in a holding pattern on that one,
And I
unfortunately.
just wanted to confirm that. I don't want to misspeak because I'm on camera and I will be quoted in the paper. So,
No, we have started dredge permits, yes.
yeah, and so we're in a holding pattern there, but we're already moving those things along, and my goal is to make sure that we're continuing to monitor those things and make those things happen as efficiently as possible. And then once we see the significant improvements made and the upgrades done, I think that's when it's more palpable to go out to the community and start having the discussion around Port Authority and showing them what an asset this is, again, to them as well as the community. Right now, people don't see that, and people are very jaded about it. I mean, and we also have a lot of backlash and negativity as a result of the B&O tax and different things, and we're working through those things. Again, nothing comes without challenges. It's not something that we're not used to, but again, I think that if we take this in a very logical manner and we proceed in a very logical way and make these improvements in a thoughtful way, that we'll be able to gain the most from them. And so that's the long range goal. And then ultimately the goal is to tie our marina into our downtown. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I have a
Thank
question
you.
for Elise. Elise, did you get a hold of Margaret Livermore, and did you work on a project with her regarding the downtown and connecting with the marina?
Yes, Councilmember Arms, we have accomplished what we were supposed to do for that part of the project in her deadline.
Explain what we're gonna do, or was she gonna put something out?
I can kind of explain because I only kind of know what the information was provided for. It's my understanding they're working on expanding their walking map that they provide, that we have available at the marina, located downstairs where anybody can pick up for free. And they have asked for a photo, a QR link to our website, and our logo, and they wanted just a few quick little blurps of information about the marina for a public input and also for new boaters. We did work with admin on that to make sure that all the information was what the city as a whole wanted to put out and move forward. So we have completed that. I don't know when we will expect to see new maps, but like I said, we have those provided downstairs at the marina all the time so that guests can pick them up and have an idea of where they're headed.
Thank you.
So, and just quickly, and then I'll wrap up, and I won't speak anymore, I'm sorry. So to tie into what Elise is saying and Mr. Bebek's comment, the things that are planned and the grants that we've applied for that we're confident in for the Catalina Park and the work that we're going to be doing to just some of the, what I'm calling facelifting of the different pieces of the marina, not the actual repair work, just the facelifting parts. These will be significant improvements that will entice folks to come in and utilize that area down there. So there will be a bigger draw for people to not just leave down, or to incorporate from downtown into that area as well. So that's one of the reasons that we are working so closely with the Downtown Main Street Association. Unfortunately, right now they're in a state of influx because they're in the middle of hiring a new executive director. They had 30 applicants for that position. They've narrowed it down to, I think, 8 that they're interviewing for right now, and then they should be making a selection within the next week or two. And then once we're able to really cement that new relationship with that new person, one of the things that I am asking is that we have my communications officer, Maggie, be a part of those interviews, because the city has a large invested interest in the Downtown Main Street Association with the amount of money that we give them, to make sure that this is a very successful organization going forward, and it's a partnership that benefits everyone in the community going forward. So we're monitoring all of that really closely and continuing to drive that forward too. So.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for being here. We certainly appreciate your insight. And Sabrina, thank you too for showing up. I'd say hi to Mr. Goldman. He was now being here. Thank you. It's always good to have you here, sir.
You guys have a good meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you don't want to stay and hear about the fingerlings and Councilmember Arms here and her involvement with feeding fish. Thank you. Everybody loves the fish. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move ahead. Elise, can we change some order here? Can you do the fingerlings and then do the harbor master updates? Because I think everybody is really anxious to hear what's going on with the repair, what's going on. If we could just do some things, because I want to get into the weeds with some of these documents as well. So if
Kim,
you-
I'm going to look to you. Can we move the agenda around after we already approved it? Sorry, I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not either, sorry.
Okay, so let's leave it alone. Then let's go ahead and jump into fingerlings at the marina. Mark, thanks for getting here. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Elise. Thank you so much.
So I'll do a quick update. The coho have now been here for almost 2 months, getting more and more active every feeding. The marina did purchase a GoPro end of last year, so we've been trying to take video footage of the feedings and get that posted online, so that even if people aren't able to come down at the feedings, they can see the interactive video online. It's been nice having Charlie on staff, since that was his prior life. He's very knowledgeable, and we are all learning a lot, those of us who have stumbled through the program for the last 4 years. So, but overall, everything's going well. I do have something in my Harbor Master update about a program coming soon with that, and I'll mention the release, but otherwise, everything's going well. People are more than welcome to come down Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays at 9 a.m., like Councilmember Arms mentioned.
Actually have any video?
On me, no, but there is some on our Facebook page. I think there might have been something posted today, actually.
Did you name all the fish yet, Barbara?
I think she named them all Henry.
Okay, good. Okay.
And we've lost a few Henrys, so we have to replace them now.
Okay, so if that's all the fingerlings at the marina update, I want to move right along into the MAC resolution, the bylaws amendments to change the meeting time to 5 p.m. I'd like to go further, though. Let's, I did take the time to read these bylaws, rules, and procedures, and there were a couple things that stood out to me, and if this is probably a good spot to bring them up. The first one was, it is membership, section 3, subparagraph A, section 4. It was about the high school representative, and we've been through this, and I think we've taken a step backwards with the wording. Did anybody get a chance to read this, or am I reading it correctly? The issue we had was that unless it is our intent to make it a resident of Oak Harbor and attend Oak Harbor High School, is that the intent of the new wording?
My understanding is that change was made to make all commissions consistent.
Consistent, okay, all right, then I have no other issue with that. Section 5, which was the subparagraph A, the meeting changed to 5 p.m. I like that very much. So I guess we're going to get an opportunity to approve this document. Section 5, number H, I believe, was the next one I had, was the conflict of interest. I was really happy to see that was included. I imagine it's been included because they're all going to have the same conflict of interest.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
to keep consistency between all of the commissions.
And then section 13, the no surprises thing, I think is a very, very good addition to this document. I don't know if people got an opportunity to look at that. That has not been in this document in the past, and it's a very good addition to this document. So, and other than that, I don't have any other comments on this particular document. Does anyone have any additional comments that I didn't bring up on anything they saw in their review of this document? Hearing none, I'll call for, I can ask for a motion to approve this particular document. Is there a motion to approve this, the Marina Advisory Commission bylaws and rules of procedure?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve?
Okay, there's been a motion, and we need a second. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we approve this document as it's submitted here. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it sounds like it passes. So let's move on to the next one, which was the best practices document. Did anyone have any comments on this one? I think Mike, did you have comments on this, on the best practices, best management practices document?
His one comment was, do we have the MARPOL stickers? And I'm not sure that we do, but I'm guessing we can find them.
Okay.
And/or get those purchased if we needed to. I
Okay.
believe Island County might have them when you register your boat, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know about that, Byron.
I was just curious if we had, it says it's required now, so it's like, where do you get them from? If is it a state mandate now that we have to have those displayed on our boat? And who's checking?
Yeah, I personally had no comments or no additions or subtractions to this best management practices document.
I do.
Okay, Byron, go ahead, please.
Yeah, one, I think we've been told that we can't make many changes to this anyway, because the council has to approve it.
Well, but we can make a
And I think last time we talked about this, it appears on, under the Marina office hours, that we're closed on Sunday, the Marina office is closed on Sunday through the summer, is that true?
No, not through the summer.
Well, that's what it says here. It says, office hours, October through March, 7 to 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday, April through September.
I see that error, and I will make sure to have that edited.
Okay.
good catch.
Well, we talked about that last.
Yeah, we did,
Good catch.
yeah. Does anyone have any other comments about this particular document?
And the other thing that we talked about that is still in here is.
Which one?
Well, it's the ridiculous thing about staying on board for, if you're on your boat for 6 hours in a day or live aboard or something to that effect.
That's in the next document, right?
Oh,
Isn't it
maybe,
in the-
well, you could be right.
It's in the policies and
Okay, you're right,
procedures
you're right.
document, yeah.
That is in the policies and procedures, yes.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments about the best management practices document, revised 02 of 26?
Can I add something real quick, JJ?
Sure.
Just so you guys know, this will be combined with the policies and procedures, because as part of our Clean Marina certification, we are supposed to be receiving a signature from everyone on this document. If we combine it with our policies and procedures, we're not going to have to get an additional signature, because when you sign your contract, there's a line in there that says, I have read and I agree to all policies and procedures. So if these two documents are combined, we've covered our bases.
Okay.
And I'm trying to avoid additional signatures and/or additional contracts for individuals.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we need to approve this particular document. So this is the Marina Best Management Practices document. Looking for a motion to approve this document as submitted, or with the one change.
So moved.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve this document with the appropriate changes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
All right, let's move on to the last one, which was the Oak Harbor Marina Policies, Procedures, and General Operating document. There was I reviewed this, and there were just a couple of questions. One was the transfer of berth assignment. That was another one that keeps coming up. I'm trying to remember where that was, what section it was, I'm sorry. I wrote them all down except for that one. Give me 1 second.
Looks like it should be on page 22 now.
Page 22, yes, you're right. I'm not sure that was,
Very bottom.
yeah, that wasn't the one. Oh, yeah, it was, okay. Now, berth assignment, what we're making the change is that berth assignment does not convey with the sale of a vessel unless a waiting list for the size of the berth does not exist. So, for example, we have long-term marina tenants who sells his boat and buys another one. By all rights, if there is a waiting list for that slip, he doesn't get to keep his slip when he sells that particular boat.
No, that's not what that's saying. That's saying the new owner does not get to automatically have that slip if there's a wait list. It is your slip until you quit paying for it, whether that be by selling your boat, giving us notice, or
Okay.
quit paying in general.
So if I sold my boat,
You get to keep your slip.
and if I sold my boat and the new owner wants to keep my old boat in my slip,
We would have to go through the wait list if one exists before that new owner can automatically take possession. I will tell you, a lot of people that are selling boats with wait lists, go ahead and get on the wait list with the caveat that that spot is for the new owner.
okay.
Just FYI, because we've had that before.
Okay, I guess I didn't read it that way, but I guess I'll have to reread it, but I don't see any issue with the way it was just explained. Let's see. Page 27, my last note was on page 27. It was on the electrical service connection and leakage. How are we doing that? Are we in fact checking for leakage? I guess I understand why this section 1 under service connection is here, but are we doing that?
So that is a new thing that came down with the latest electrical code that we are implementing at this time.
Okay.
So as a boat comes into the marina, before they get plugged in, we have purchased the amp clamp. We purchased the most cost-effective one, which was still $1,300.
Yeah.
But we have a process that has been established with the staff and a checklist of exactly how to go through that. And before they plug into our system, we are testing to ensure that they are not going to be an issue moving forward.
Right, does that also check in for ELCI, neutral and ground issues?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay, very good. All right, because I did notice in the service connections, that was something that had not been there before, so,
Correct. Just trying to make sure everything is up with the new code
Right.
and that we're moving forward in the right direction.
okay. Does anybody have, yes, please.
So will you be checking those of us who are already in the marina? I mean, I would see this as a service, actually.
That is coming. It's supposed to be an annual check. So we are trying to figure out how to best utilize the staff and with the boats that we have. It'll be easy as people come in for the season to be able to go through before they plug in. But those of you who are there all the time, that's something that we almost have to schedule an appointment with you because you've got to be on board, shut everything off. We turn everything on one by one and we're testing as you go. So it is a little time consuming and is going to take work with both of us, not just one of us. So that'll be future newsletter articles where it's, hey, Doc A, it's this month. Everybody get ready. I know it's going to be a pain in the butt.
I don't want to
But-
kick a dead horse. ELCI breakers eliminates the need for this. If you can't plug into an ELCI breaker, you're leaking.
Unfortunately, we also have to test as part of the new code, even
Okay.
with ELCI breakers. That is just one of the new testing requirements that has come down in the last 6 months.
Okay.
So we wanted to make sure we were following that.
This is good, though. This is a good test. People will complain, but this is a good test.
Hello? If
Please.
they have to have remediation, is there a time period in number 5? It says the marina will then do a follow-up, but
I can put a time, I can make it very similar to the seaworthy and operational timeframe so that we have a consistent one in all policies and procedures. And don't quote me without flipping back, but I want to say that's like a 21-day window. And it also says, and you communicate with the harbor master, because I realize sometimes you're not going to be able to get an electrician in 21 days. May not be a thing. So I want to make sure that we're not just making it a hardship for boaters not to be able to plug in or not have any kind of wiggle room, because I understand life does happen, if that makes sense.
without a
time frame. Yeah. Correct. Nope, thank you. That's good feedback.
I would be in favor of seeing a time frame listed, and because this is it's a safety issue. It absolutely is a safety issue, and people need to know if they're leaking straight current into the water. So, okay, does anybody have any other comments? Byron, do you have some comments? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I guess we're going to stay with that ridiculous language about staying aboard your boat for more than 6 hours makes you live aboard. Do we need that?
Unfortunately, we do need that. We have had issues with people who are saying that they're not living aboard, but they stay for 16 hours overnight, but they weren't staying the night, they were working the whole time. All of the language in this rules has come from an issue we've had in the past. We can expand that to 8 or 10. 10 would be our working hours, but I would say we need to have some sort of time, because I will be honest, I have already had to enforce that in the 8 months I've been in the chair.
But 10 would be much more acceptable to me. I'm not gonna
Okay,
be,
I'm open to changing that to 10.
But I've often spent, 8 hours on a day on my boat.
I understand
working on
that.
it for several days in a row.
So I will get that changed.
Okay, and let's just so I'm clear as to what we're going to change. Which section is that? That's the.
As one is in definitions, staying aboard.
It is page 10.
Page 10, yeah.
I think, let's see, there's the live aboard one. Yes, staying aboard, page 10. So we can change that to for more than 10 hours.
Okay.
And I know Mike had written about the staying aboard, which is actually under live aboard here, and it is later in there, about that it is confusing. Is it a 1 3-day period per month, per year recommendations? So it is 1 per 7-day period. So if you stay Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you cannot stay aboard Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night. You can then start again on Wednesday. It typically relates to about 12 days a month. So just keep that in mind. There are marinas that don't allow that much. If the recommendation to change it, I can tell you this is a very easy way for staff to track as well, the 3 out of 7, because it's a clunk together, versus if you say 14 days for the entire month. Unfortunately, I think you're all going to feel like you're being spied on, because when you stay, it's going to be marked on like a big tally sheet upstairs that you were on board that night, and that tally's going to continue, because that's there's no great way to follow that if it's sporadic throughout the month, if that makes sense.
So, thought on that is, when you have a transit mortgage and they can stay for 7 consecutive days, but then the folks who are staying there, 365 days a year, we can't stay on our boat more than 3. Understanding 12 in a month, got that. Perhaps, because I don't see myself doing that, but perhaps if we had, or maybe there already is, something to the effect that deviations from this are at the harbor master's discretion, where you could have a conversation and say, hey, I've got this thing going on with my boat. I really want to stay down here for 4 days. Take care of it. Can we work that out? Is there something like that?
For the one.
I agree. This is Mike. I agree with Marta that I think there needs to be a case-by-case situation. If you, for instance, have somebody working in your house and you have to be out of your house for a couple days, I mean, why would I get a hotel room when I have a boat that is essentially a liveaboard? I can live on the boat for a couple days. And it may be outside the 3 days or 4 day window. So I think having a caveat, and I know you have to be judicious on how you use that, but certainly a case-by-case basis with the harbor master is, I would recommend or suggest.
So Mike, you hit on the point that I was going to bring up is if I allow one to do it and we're not able to accommodate someone else, I can already hear the one person saying, well, you like him so much better. That's why he got to stay aboard, but I don't. So having this very black and white makes the enforcement piece of it significantly easier. I will say that. I know it sounds silly and we shouldn't have to, but unfortunately it's there because there was problems.
I'm just trying to rack my brain and see how this would be a problem. I'm just struggling with that. Maybe I'm just so isolated and I don't see everything that you see, obviously. But how is this an issue? For example, if someone's refinishing the floors in my house and I have to be out of the house for a week, that it's a problem for me to go and stay on my boat. I'm just struggling with that.
See, that case makes sense. But I can tell you right now, we've got people that know they have 3 nights and that's exactly how long they stay, but they're pushing that boundary because they don't have anywhere else. And then they fall into that sneak aboard or non-live aboard, but I'm living aboard, but I'm not paying for it category. And so that's where we're running into problems. And that's exactly why that rule existed, because we had people that were staying, because it used to say, I think, 12 or 14 days in a month. Well, they would stay 12 days at the end of the month and then stay 12 days at the beginning of the month. So they ended up staying for an entire month, but weren't living aboard, so they didn't have to pay for it. They also didn't have to fill up pump out logs. So it was not in what the spirit of the rule was meant for. And unfortunately, that's why we ended up in the very black and white situation we're in.
Okay, so
And we have that issue in our marina today?
Today, I don't know that we do because that rule had been enforced so judiciously.
So, I think if, and the examples of, your flooring or something that happens at my place, maybe we're just looking for something that says, on a case-by-case basis, at the discretion of the harbor master, there could be a deviation. But I think that might solve it in that, if you have these people who are trying to work around the system, instead of having them doing that, well, they'd have to come up with a case-by-case every single time they were coming up with something like that, So maybe that would allow those of us who have a boat and have a thing where we need to stay 3 or 4 or 5 days, but we would come to you, it would be case-by-case, and we would get your approval of that before doing that kind of thing.
So do we put a time limit on how many times you can do that in a year? Because I'm sorry, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but unfortunately, I can see somebody saying, well, my flooring is getting done, now I've got company, unfortunately, I can hear all the excuses because I have heard them in the past.
Okay.
So I would be
Well,
willing to pay additional moorage, if that's meant that I could stay on the boat for 8 days while I get new windows put in the house.
We do have a temporary liveaboard position that no more than 5 can be filled at one time, that's designed for 90 days on your boat and then 90 days off of your boat. So that could be an option. I realize that doesn't make a lot of sense when it's 2 and 3 days. That's where, like, for someone who's needing to be out of the house for 2 to 3 weeks, we would do a temporary liveaboard position. It would be a prorated liveaboard fee, you'd follow all the regulations, and we can make that happen.
I didn't see that in any of this.
I believe that is in
I didn't
the
either.
liveaboard policy, but it's not included in this because it is separate. But I can get that language to you at next meeting. Yep.
Maybe the answer to
One of my,
Well, I was going to say, Mike,
Sorry,
maybe the
Jason.
answer to this is that we just add one of these in the definitions that, any exceptions to any of the stay aboard or live aboard procedures as outlined in this document are at the discretion of the harbor master and the marina staff. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do.
well, I agree with you, I think, but I understand what Elise is alluding to, is that she's going to have a whole bunch of stuff, and she's got to be fair and equitable, and hence my recommendation was, recommend no more than one 10-day continuous 10-day period every 6 months is a way to maybe alleviate the multitude of exceptions that you might potentially have to endure as we try and work this, because there's a lot of cases
Yeah,
that
but
will come up.
that takes away her flexibility as well.
Yeah.
I just think leaving it the way it is, change the 6 hours to 10 hours, as Byron had suggested, and inserting something that says exceptions to these rules will be at the discretion of the harbor master. That's why she gets the big bucks. That's why she's in the position that she's in. And so, I just think that makes more sense than trying to micromanage every single situation via this document. Did the people agree with that?
Yeah, and I think it would be
Yeah.
something that would necessary to be given to her in advance, in writing, as a request.
Sure.
It's
Makes
not,
perfect
it's
sense.
not just walking into the office and say, hey, I'm gonna stay out for, it should be in advance, in writing, to the harbor master as a request, Not-
It makes perfect sense to
Yeah.
do it that way. So the only thing I would ask for, Elise, is that in this document going further, is that you include a statement somewhere in this definitions that say that exceptions to these particular rules will be at the discretion of the marina staff.
So I think I heard Elise say a little bit earlier that she doesn't want that discretion because it's going to put pressure on her for people to say you're playing favorites or this, what was the reason for your discretion? But we do hear what you're saying and what your goal is. So maybe it's better if we were to just put our heads together, come up with some ideas and bring them back to the next meeting for something that furthers the goals you're trying to get to, but also tries to take away some of the potential issues that having just open discretion might have.
I'm amenable to that, but on storage on piers or floats, number 2, we have unless approved by harbor master. You can't store anything unless she says okay. So evidently, I could get approval, or I could drive her crazy.
I
do-
again would have no issue, David, with that. I think that's a fair plan.
I just think we should have some guidelines for this, like that it says it must be written, must be prior, like
Sure.
at least 1 month in advance, because you're going to know a month in advance if your windows are going to be replaced, kind of thing, or something along those lines. So that pressure is not necessarily on me, and I can go back and say, they wrote down, this is their rationale, these are the exact days they stayed, they followed within the guidelines. So
Absolutely.
that I'm,
We'll come back with something.
yeah. that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely acceptable. That would work for, I think, everyone up here. and
I don't
think-
like the gray area
Yeah, I know.
because it just
understand.
ends up becoming, very he said, she said, you like me, you don't like me. And I don't want that to be the case.
That sounds absolutely fine, and I think everybody, and I think we'll hold off on approval of this particular document until the next time we get together.
I've got one more.
Sure, go ahead, Byron.
Under insurance, it's on page 15. It says, all persons who berth or store a vessel in the marina, even on a temporary basis, shall maintain insurance, and then it says that policy, and that's fine, but then it says that policy has to name a city of Oak Harbor as an also named insured. Now, transients, guests are not going to be going to their insurance company and getting something on their policy.
I believe we should define temporary basis a little better. That would be if someone is in the marina for 30 days or more, is what they're looking at for that, because you are correct. A transient boater is not going to name every marina they go to.
Also, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's right here in my notes and I missed it. My insurance company will not name the city of Oak Harbor as an additional insured on my insurance policy. They will not. They absolutely refuse. And so I'm not exactly sure why anyone would insist on that. Because if I have a claim against my insurance company for wind damage or for something I hit, and if the city of Oak Harbor was a named additional insured on my insurance policy, any check that would come to me would have to be endorsed by the city before I could use it for payment. So they said, when I asked them about this, they said they absolutely refuse. My insurance is between me and my insurance company, and the city of Oak Harbor has nothing to do with it. So I think this would be I'm not sure, there might be a legal reason why the city of Oak Harbor wants to be named as an additional insured on my insurance policy. So I would ask that either be looked at and be removed, because I can't comply. I'd have to move out of the marina.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this came in here. I just know that, as a landlord, when I rent out to tenants,
Yeah.
I ask the tenants to put, my name on the insurance policy as another insured. I know when I rented a place, they told me to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty common when it comes to leases. But we could look into this a little bit more, because
Thank you.
marina's a little different than, a house. So.
You bet. Thank you.
I do have another one.
Sure, go ahead, Kelly.
Water service. The first the policy statement says tenants will not remain connected to city pressurized water system. Do you mean tenants, or do you mean tenants and guests?
We can include both. I don't tend to have as much issue with guests. I've had quite a few tenants that have tried to stay hooked up consistently because their water system is not functioning correctly, and the pressure from the city system makes everything run smoother. It's a major safety hazard, so I am happy to change that to no one
That would
can be.
Because I notice
Yeah.
as we travel around, particularly big boats often tie up the water faucets. And, we just need a few gallons and we'll be on our way.
Yeah,
So-
it wasn't even a matter of tying the system up. It was the safety of what happens when that line pops off to your water tank and your boat starts filling up with water, but you're nowhere to be found. Your boat sinks. Well, yeah, unfortunately, that would be the worst outcome, but trying to prevent that. And in the winter, if they are not hooked up to that water system, we've got one less freeze possibility as well. So,
And on top of that, it's just downright rude when someone does that. So, anyway, okay, let's move on from this one, unless anyone has got something else for this particular document. Nope. Okay, let's move on. We're up to Harbor Master updates, Elise.
let me get my notes. I
Okay.
misplaced my notebook. Okay, well. Oh, there it is. Just kidding. I found it. It was out of my sight. Okay. So I know you're all dying to hear about FDOC, but I'm going to start with a big thank you to our crew and to Louis Foster for all of his years of service on the Marina Advisory Commission. He did resign as of today, so we do have an open community position at this time. So if you know of anyone within the city limits who does not directly do business with the marina, so it could be someone involved with youth sailing, it could be someone involved with Puget Sound Dragon Boat, it could be someone who's just interested and wants to learn more. As far as North FDOT goes, construction's moving along. We were about where I figured we would be last week. Divers showed up on Wednesday after the crane was put in place Thursday before they started work on the 2nd. We are finding a challenge that we had not expected to find and trying to think creatively how to address it. So for your knowledge, we'll pretend this is a patio. This is gonna be panel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8's over here. Well, when you mess with panels 2 and 7, 1 and 8 have to be removed because you can't get the rods pushed all the way through. The problem with removing panel 1 and 8, the pile hoop is attached to that pile, or to that panel. So now you're removing 2 extra pieces that were not considered, especially since most of our panels that were missing were 2s and 7s. So we do have a panel 8 and 7 that need to be replaced. I've directed American Construction that that's where we want to start, so that we can see if there's some alternative or some way we can get around it with one that already has to be removed. They informed me that running the 24-foot through rod is the easiest part of this job, which to me sounds crazy considering it's going through 3 different cement modules. But that should be getting done. We have had to have some plates that attach the panels to the breakwater fabricated. We're able to get those done within 48 hours of the request. Here locally, shouldn't cost more than about $600-700 for 18 of those plates, which was a huge relief. I just got an email while I've been here that we got to see if we can get some more things fabricated, so hopefully they'll be able to help us out. They also found today that when the panels were moving, they were egging everything out. And your regular 3/4 inch washer is gonna suck right through that hole and not hold that rod in place. So we're going up a size or 2 for those to make sure that that is in place. Of the panels that came up off the bottom, only 3 pickets were damaged, which is amazing considering 4 panels came up from the bottom. We have already worked with Frontier. They are able to get those pickets, he said hopefully within the week. He was hoping maybe by the end of this week. I will be ecstatic if that happens, but should be here first of next week regardless. They will be gray, they will not be tan. I told him I wasn't really worried about color, I just needed the picket so that the panel could go back in place. But it has been illuminating for me for when we go to the major rehabilitation and repair of this breakwater, of things that we need to consider for long-term maintenance on this particular infrastructure so that we don't run into this same problem of, this is a giant jigsaw puzzle, we've got to take it all apart to fix one piece. So I'm already thinking and I'm taking lots of notes so that in 2 years I won't be like, man, I remember there was a problem, but I can't remember what it was. I'm making sure I've got those notes for the future. So like I said, I'm trying to put a positive spin on the fact that we've run into problems because we now know what we can do differently when we go to do that major rehab and repair. Otherwise, they are going to work 50 hours this week. It still puts us under the $500,000 budget. We did hear from the insurance company. Should be getting half payment, correct?
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Oh, okay. There was an email maybe today about that. So insurance company is working with us on that. So instead of it costing the marina $500,000, we're only looking at $100,000 for this project. So let's see. Anybody have questions on North F before I continue with the rest of it? Okay. I do realize occupancy is low. I am not immune to that. I see that as I walk the docks every day. We are trying to think out of the box on advertising, how we can best use the $8,000 we have for advertising. The Anacortes Boat Show is one of those things that only costs us $700. We are buying a few swag items just so that we have a few, not only for the Anacortes Boat Show, but just for the marina in general. So we're still looking at under $1,000 with the swag items included. I can tell you last year it costs very similar. We had someone go on the wait list. They are now a full-time tenant and they pay over $1,000 for their slip. So that return on investment was well worth it. We will be needing volunteers to help. I'll be there for all of it. We'll have a frequently asked questions sheet for you. So it's not I don't know. We'll make sure to have the basics covered and lots of my business cards that you can pass out at any time. Just so you guys know, that is May 14th through 16th, and it's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you are welcome to come hang out for 1 hour, 5 hours.
If we send some OHYC Yacht Club people down there, could they help you man the booth?
I'm open to volunteers. I was approached for the yacht club as yacht club advertising, not marina advertising. I would say we would need to have some sort of agreement with probably some monetary if the yacht club is promoting itself at our booth.
Okay.
And I'll have a sign-up sheet coming out soon. I just did not get that rolling yet. We have hit a snafu, I'm gonna say, for summer help. There was an audit of the retirement system, and the marina was flagged in it. And as a result, benefits, or seasonals have to be benefited for the next 2 years at the marina. I asked for that number at the most expensive to plan forward. That would cost us about $42,000 per seasonal. Just to give you an idea, we spent $60,400 for 3 seasonals last year. We do have some alternatives. I think our best alternative is going to be what they consider a temporary position. It would have all of the same functions as a seasonal. The main difference is how long they can stay and the hourly wage. So they are paid more money. However, they can stay and work consistently for 6 months. A seasonal can only work for 4 months full-time plus 70 hours. So that really that just barely covers main boating season. And due to the new benefited ruling and the fact that we didn't budget for this, we're gonna go with most likely 2 temporaries, which those cost about $32,000 each. So that puts us very similar money range as what we spent for 3 seasonals last year. We are looking into a volunteer program, working with HR and the insurance company for the city to figure out what volunteers can and can't do. We've also reached out to the union to see if the union is okay, since 4 of the 6 marina staff members are union members. And we need the permission from the union to move forward with that as well. So behind the scenes, I am trying to think creatively, any way possible to make this happen to where the tenant and guest experience is not going to be any less than it's been in the years past. One option might be that we stay closed for lunch, that 1 hour year-round this year. I did the math. You're looking at, 7 hours a week. And if it was publicized and it stays at that same 12 to 1, the fuel dock would still be open. It would just be the office, so that's one less place that has to be manned. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. But that's kind of where we're leaning, because we don't know how many of these temporary positions we'll get. We're also looking at, can we get multiple temporaries that maybe this one works 2 months, this one works a month, this, to fill in the gaps when we really need the extra help. So like I said, we're trying to be creative in what we were given, and this year looks a whole lot different than any other year because of this. And my last thing is the next all-tenant meeting. I'm tentatively looking at the 10th of April. I know that is spring break week, but there are no sports happening that Friday night. And I am reaching out to the yacht club since it was presented that people would rather have it in a more casual setting. And I think I mean, I could go on and on about everything the crew's done, but I would rather you come and see me and we walk around the marina and do that instead of taking the time in this meeting.
Okay, let's move on to Marina Advisory Commission comments. Comments from the commission. Oh, I'll kick it off if, okay. First, I have to second what you said about Louis. We're going to miss Louis on this Marina Commission, and I thank Louis for his time here. He was always well-prepared, and he always had a great insight, and I'm going to miss him sitting right next to me. So we'll have to find somebody. Now, we have 2 members, right? We have 2 vacancies, or just 1, okay. So we'll have to look for somebody who has a real interest in the marina. So I would think we should be able to find somebody from youth sailing who is not a marina tenant, who could donate some time to this commission. Also, I want to thank well done to Duncan and Danny for their work on the power pedestals on VDOC. If you have not seen them, they look amazing. I know it takes a significant amount of time. It's a multi-step process to do what they do, but if you look at the ones that they've repaired and revitalized, they look perfect. So again, thank Danny and Duncan for doing all that. One thing I did want to bring up, and we should probably maybe get a subcommittee on this if we do have subcommittees. I saw a marina recently that put out these really neat tables and chairs and umbrellas right at the head of their dock, and they had a food truck that showed up every single day. And people came from all over. They came and had coffee and sat in these beautiful tables and chairs, even in pretty miserable weather. They were out there doing that, and we could do that very, very easily because we have a park. And we need to do something. I imagine you're working on something like that.
I am. I'm working behind the scenes trying to get a food truck at least committed for weekends or some commitment whatsoever. We do already have the beautiful picnic benches in Catalina Park that were just refurbished last year by the Parks Department.
Right.
We already have those small coffee benches on the dock that Tiana just revitalized in the last couple of years as well. We could possibly purchase stools that go to those that are adhered to the dock so they don't walk away, blow away. We have some of that infrastructure already in place. So just
that should be a priority because we need to get people down there. If people knew they could go get a cup of coffee and sit on the dock and look at the boats, people would do that. I think. Maybe
Trying.
It's just me. Yep. I don't have anything else. I'm sure there are other commission members that have something to say.
I just have a question. Where do we stand on the safety station ladders and that kind of thing?
So only had one idea brought to me as far as safety stations go. And I will be honest, I have not been able to move forward with that one. The North F dock construction has consumed a lot of my extra time. Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. I can bring the idea and try to get some pricing to the next meeting. I am happy to have other submissions of different styles of safety ladders, what the maintenance requirement would be, and how many you'd like to see. Do you want them at the head of every slip? Do you want them just at where the life rings are? Because that's our more limiting safety feature. Because those have to be every 150 feet versus fire extinguishers, I think, can be 300. So.
Those wire type ones, we have a few of those there. You know what I mean? The kind of
The up and outs, like it's
Yeah.
near JJ's boat?
Yeah,
The
Yeah, you're talking about the ones that fold up that are small stainless.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I only have one, maybe two on hand. And I will tell you, those cost about $500 a piece, which is,
But they're, I think, easier to use than the other style, are they not?
I don't know. I have seen mixed reviews, to be honest, on people that have used them. Because I did see a woman try to use one, but her upper body strength wasn't there. And there's no good way to straddle that and pull someone out of the water. She almost pulled someone else in. So that instance, we actually did an alternative way to get her out. We were able to get her up on someone's swim step and out of the water.
So I do wander around looking at, it's an occupational hazard now. I look at marinas when I'm wandering around on marinas, and I was up at Cap Sandy, and I was looking at at their ladders, because I thought, okay, what are these guys doing? And that's where I sent some photos to Elise about it. They are extremely simple. They're built with some 2-inch square tubing and rebar, and then painted, and then attached into the frame. And they're really simple. They also, I think, would be cost effective. But Elise has got that information, so she's working that right now. But yeah, I think as we all wander around, especially during the season, and we see other marinas, we ought to be scoping out their stuff and see what good ideas they've got.
You bet. And I think it's all of us, the boaters here, we go places, we need to find best practices. I was talking to your friend from Brownsville at the boat show. And she mentioned that, you have a similar type, I have mentioned this many times. I think the closest marina to what we have is in Brownsville, not these other marinas that we get sometimes compared to. So, but we can always bring something back to these meetings and to the marina. And if we don't have any further comments, do we have any further comments? Determination of future agenda items. This is incumbent upon all of us. We're the ones that we see what's happening at the marina. We see what's happening at other places. We need to be able to get information to Elise that we need to bring up here that can benefit our marina and our and this commission. I almost hate to mention this, but the mayor mentioned a change in perhaps leadership. Is that for public knowledge? Is it who's El Jefe now? Who do we? We're looking at David. He looks.
Yes, the mayor is El Jefe.
Okay. Now, who does? Is there someone up the chain higher than Elise before we get to the mayor now?
Yeah, Elise and I will work together to
Very good.
assuage your concerns.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Next meeting is April 13th. So everybody put that on their calendars. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
Let's see, future agenda items.
Yeah.
David, we have a,
Can you use your mic real quick, please?
David, will we be able to get a profit and loss thing by next meeting?
Oh, yeah, we're looking at May for that one because it's due to the state auditor at the end of May, but we're trying to get everything done ahead of time before we transition to the new ERP system. So we're looking hopefully to get everything pretty much finalized for all the funds by May the 4th. But we'll see as things go on, so.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Move. I think we're adjourned. Thank you very much.